असंख जप असंख पाओ, असंख पूजा असंख तपताओ, असंख ग्रंथ मुखवेद पाठ, असंख जोग मन रहे उदास, असंख भगत गुण ज्ञान विचार, असंख सती असंख दातार, असंख सूर मोह बक्सार, असंख मौन लिवलाए तार। हारा न जावा एक बार, जो तुद पावे साई पलिकार, तू सदा सलामत निरंकार। कुदरत कवन कहाँ विचार, वार्या न जावा एक बार, जो तुद पावे साई पलिकार, तू सदा सलामत निरंकार। When we are in the midst of nature, we feel the presence of Akal Purakh, because nature is so beautiful, so wondrous, so vast, and we realize our own puniness, I want to say, coining a new word here. We realize how small we are, what a speck we are in this vast expanse of creation. And why do we feel this closeness when we are in the middle of nature, in the midst of nature? We feel it because Gurbani tells us, Balihari Kudrat Vasya. Akal Purakh, the Creator, dwells within nature. What has happened in the cities and the cosmopolitan towns is that we've created all this extraneous noise, and the energy, the vibrations of that essence have changed, have come under the influence of our chatter. Our chatter, our noise has dominated that presence, that essence in which Akal Purakh dwells. And so when we get away from that noise and we come close to nature, when we come close to that expansiveness, whether it's in the mountains or in the ocean or in the jungles, in the woods, wherever, and there is that quiet, there is that solitude where you hear almost pulsating the breath of nature, you experience a peace within. I remember when we were in Banff last year, I was actually crying because it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. So, Kudrat kavan kahan vichar? Nanak Sahib says, Teri kudrat da main ki vichar kara? What can I even say about your creation? I'm without words. I cannot describe it. I cannot reflect deep enough to express the wonder I feel when I am within your creation, when I am absorbed in it, when I'm partaking of it. I'm so deeply moved, so touched by the presence that I feel that I cannot even describe to you what I feel at that time. Varya na java ek var. You know, Indamoon Virji had said many times that there really is no equivalent translation to Varya na java. You know, the way I would like to translate it is that I would give up myself for you. I want to get absorbed in you. I want to erase my own identity. I am so moved by you that I want to become one with you. I cannot do it even once. That's how do I even describe what I feel? I just can't describe that feeling of being close to you when I'm in your kudrat, when I'm in your creation. Jo tud pave sai palikar. And in the end I say that whatever you wish, whatever you want, whatever you express, however you do it, I'm just grateful. It's beautiful. Tu sada salamat nirankar. You are forever, ever, ever prevailing. You are ever there. So in nature, in the creation, dwells Akal Purakh, and in the creation also dwells the polarity that is a part of nature. There is a polarity in everything. You know, people often ask, do Sikhs believe in evil? Did God create evil? So first of all, these are not our concepts. As we are understanding and expressing Sikhi, we're trying to create our own vocabulary that comes from our own scriptures. And for us, Akal Purakh is Akal Purakh. Vaheguru is an expression of wonder. And we're moving away from, not that there is anything wrong with them, but it's nice to embrace your own vocabulary and create it and live by it when you express things. So God, the bearded picture of God in Sistine Chapel reaching out to Adam with the finger, right? That it sort of evokes that. The guy with the beard, with the deep voice, a he, right? So Akal Purakh is none of that. So the question is there evil? Is there evil in the world? Well, if you think of evil as Satan, the red devil with the horns on the head, well, that is not our concept of evil. But what we do understand is that in everything that exists, there is a polarity. There is good and bad. There is the opposite of what exists. There is day and night. There is fall and spring. There is life and death. There is darkness and light. There is good and bad. It coexists. There is happiness and sorrow. There is parting and union. Whatever is happening, there are tears and laughters. There is a polarity. And it does exist, and it exists in nature also. There are flowers and there are thorns, right? There is rain and there is drought. And in this body, Guru Sahib is talking about one aspect of that creation which is positive, which is those people that walk the path of devotion, and how countless they are and how many. And then in the next body, Guruji will dwell on the negative energies that prevail. So we're starting with the concluding line and expressing our helplessness at expressing the wonder of the fathomless one, of the deathless one that dwells in nature. And then we're coming back to what nature is. Nature is polarity. The nature of nature is polarity. I want to put it that way. So asankh jap, asankh paal. There are countless ones that are chanting the Naam. In their own way, they are living in remembrance. Whether we walk the spiritual path or we live in the world as very temporal beings, we tend to be judgmental. We tend to say this is good and this is bad because we see the polarity. But here in this body, even while Guruji recognizes and sees the polarity, he's accepting everything in its various hues and nuances. Just like in a garden, there are flowers, right? They represent the good, and the thorns, perhaps the lesser good or the negative energy. But even within those flowers, there are so many varieties. There are so many fragrances. There are so many colors. There are so many species. There are so many different kinds, right? Some that like shade, some that like sun, some that flower in the spring, some that grow on cactuses, right? And similarly, those that chant the Naam, there are so many of them. They are all good. They're all walking the path. Their paths may be different. We have one destination. There are so many ways to go to it. We can take the freeway, we can take the inner roads. When I put my address in the GPS, it says, which way do you want? The quickest one, the inner roads where you have to pay the toll, or you want the longer one? And I always hit on the quicker one.
Yeah, the interesting thing is, of course, that Guruji also is very explicit about criticizing that which is bad.
Yeah.
He tells us to recognize it, not ignore it, not pretend it doesn't exist. We have to avoid all the evil things, we have to recognize what they are. At the same time, he's saying it's all part of God's wonder.
Yes.
Don't be judgmental about it.
And don't get too distracted by it. But know it.
Against evil.
Yeah. Right. don't let it get affected by it.
Don't let it get you depressed and say, how terrible is the world.
Exactly.
Still say it's a wonderful world,
Yeah.
but I have to be good and I have to recognize what's bad in myself and I have to overcome it.
Absolutely.
They're very different things that seem to be contradictory, but they are two words.
Absolutely, and it's discretion, it's discrimination, right? But moving away from judgment and condemnation, right? But knowing what it is for what it is. Here in this body, Guruji is talking about those who are the believers and those who are the devotees and those who are walking the path. And even in spirituality, there is this that we're the chosen ones, we're the pure ones, we're the, this path is more superior and that is superior. Here Guruji is saying there's so many of them, and he's just in the wonder that Guruji is experiencing. He is recounting all kinds of people that are walking the Asank Jap. I mean, there are people that are doing the chanting in so many different ways. There are so many mantras. There are so many chants. People can choose to do 108 mala beads of the Mool Mantra. And someone says that, I get the biggest peace while doing Sukhmani Sahib every day. And they say that when you do Sukhmani Sahib, those breaths are sort of put to a better use. There's so many ways of doing it. There are others that say that the only way to do jap is to have a havan and to have all the samagri over there, and that sort of evokes those feelings of spirituality within you. And then there are those that will say that you leave, you renounce everything, and you go to the jungle and you do tap. And here Guruji is saying, asank jap, asank tap. Hold on. Asank. Hold on one second. I am on 18 now. Asank jap, asank pao, asank puja, asank tap tao. Asank japine, asank pao. Now what is pao? Pao is a feeling. And in the spiritual arena, spiritual journey, it is equated to love. There are so many ways that is evoked. Asank jap, asank pao, asank puja, asank tap tao. So how is pao? How is this feeling awakened? This feeling is awakened in so many different ways. Like I said, when I was in Banff last year, this feeling of closeness to the divine was so strong that it brought tears to my eyes. Sat Sangat, when you go to Sat Sangat and you listen to the shabads that extol the presence, that extol the divine, that talk about how wondrous the divine is, it touches your heart. Sometimes the kirtan is so beautiful that it makes you cry. So there are infinite ways where this feeling is evoked, how this feeling is expressed of vow, of love. Asank jap, asank vow, asank puja, asank tap tao. So many ways of worshipping. Some do it with flowers, some do it with dandot, with obeisance, some do it with ringing the bell, some do it by going to Kumbh Melas or all kinds of pujas. Asank jap, asank pao, asank puja, asank tap tao. And then there are those that almost burn themselves because they seek this heat that will scorch them, that will make them remember Akal Purakh. They go through penances. This is not our way. Our way is the way of Sahaj. It's a simple path of living in divine consciousness. But there are other paths, and here Guruji is recounting those. And he's recounting those just as an expression of wonder and saying there are so many ways that people are looking to you. And that may not be our way. In other places, has told us what is our way. But here he's saying, that's what they're busy doing. And they're all good people because there is that love in their heart. They're walking the path. So there is something good that they are doing. It's all good here. Asank jap, asank pao, asank puja, asank tap tao. Asank. Yeah, so I do previous page. Okay, hold on. Yeah, Viji, please. I'm not going to move it next time.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing. Normally
it's not going
nicely
up.
going forwards, but it's not as easy.
It doesn't
to
go back
backwards,
easily.
Yeah. You can't go back like that. Yeah. Now you have to come all the way to the bottom.
Which is easier.
Do it over here.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Gajayat is much more familiar.
Asank jap, asank pao, asank puja, asank tapta, asank granth, ved path. That's fine.
No.
It's okay, Vijay.
It's on again.
Last line. Asank granth mukh ved path. There are so many scriptures, so many Sanskritis, so many. I mean, we have the Torah, we have the Quran, the Bible. These are the well-known ones. But then there are so many others whose names we don't even know, with whom we have no acquaintance, no scholarly stuff that we have indulged in to understand them. But they are there, and they are all chanting the name. They are all imparting wisdom. Mukh ved path. There are so many ways that the mouth is chanting and the mind is wandering. I mean, mukh ved path. You are doing it with your mouth, right? You're saying so many different things, and the mind maybe, the implicit thing that I overhear is muh te bol raha, but maybe Guruji doesn't even mean that, but you're just reciting. There are ways, so many ways, so many scriptures, so many lines that you're reciting. Asank jog man rahe udas. Wow, there are so many ways of union. Jog is union. Some people have it through attaining skills in keeping certain postures and staying in them for hours. And they think that this is how they'll get union. Asank jog man rahe udas. All these are ways to have the mind become detached, have that longing, have that yearning that you feel for a Kalpurak, without which the journey really doesn't begin. As long as we are deeply engaged, deeply immersed in this world, and it is completely enchanting us and involving every moment of our thinking, and our whole being is immersed in it, and we're not detached. There is not that longing, that virag, that sadness. Udas literally means sadness. But where does that sadness come from? It may come from disappointment, it may come from realizing the transitoriness of it, it may come when something fails, it may come when you have dukh daru sukh rupya, that udasi feeling, that feeling of, oh, this is enough, I'm so done with this, I'm looking for some deeper meaning, I'm looking for something that lasts, something that is not so short-lived. Whatever I'm getting, whatever I'm experiencing, it's here today and it's gone tomorrow. Even the relationships on which I banked, they have broken, they have betrayed me. Now what is there? And then Vani tells you, the only one permanent, only one lasting thing is a Kalpurak. So when you're disappointed, when there is sadness, when there is longing, when there is yearning, then you turn to that higher path and seek that union that you've heard the sages and the seers and the prophets tell you is going to bring you anand and bliss and happiness. And Babaji is saying there are so many of them that are seeking this, that are longing with yearning. Asank Bhagat Gun Gyan Vichaar. There are so many devotees, so many ways that they're expressing their love, so many people that are so bright, that know so much, that are filled with so many virtues and so much goodness. Virtues and goodness are the equivalent of the divine, right? Because every goodness that we have, that we embody, is there because of grace. Every goodness, every virtue that we're living, that we're inculcating, is there because of the divine grace. Asank Bhagat Gun Gyan Vichaar. And there's so many devotees that are reflecting on the virtues and then imbibing them and becoming them and living them. And so many ways that they are going to congregations, they're going to conferences, they're going to gatherings, there's Gurmat Vichar, there is Parliament of World's Religions. All of that is to understand to understand the goodness of Akal Purakh, and some are intellectualizing it, some are chanting it with devotion, but it's all about understanding, reaching out, fathoming the fathomless. Asank Bhagat, Gun Gyan Vichaar, Asank Sati, Asank Datar. And then there are those that are following the path of the truth, because truth, Guruji has told us, is the highest virtue, and living truthfully is even above that. And there are those that are living the path of truth, and they are known. They are known. There are legends about them. We've given them names. People that have been speaking the truth, that have been living by the truth, people that have been dying by the truth, right? Our gurus that gave up their lives for the truth. They gave up their families for the truth. Asank Sati, they live by the truth. That is the highest goal. And there's thousands of them. There are numerous ones of them, countless ones of them, of those that are practicing that truth. Asank Sati, or are attempting to do it. And some of them are reaching very high pinnacles. Asank Datar. And then there are countless ones that are giving in so many countless ways. Writing big checks, donating. I mean, we go to the Gurdwara, somebody's, in a small, where you see every day you go to the Gurdwara, somebody's bringing a bottle of milk, somebody's bringing a bag of anaj or a flour, or whole wheat flour, or whatever it is. Somebody's giving their time, somebody's doing seva in the Gurdwara in terms of the Jute Bartan. And on a larger scale, somebody's trying to eradicate poverty, somebody's trying to eradicate hunger, somebody's digging wells in Africa. There are so many, many ways that people are giving. Someone is giving in a very simplistic way of giving a hand to a blind person to cross the road. There are countless, countless ways to give. But the giving that is endless comes only from the greatest giver, Akal Purakh. And they're all giving because somewhere deep down, somewhere in the depths of their being, they have realized that giving gives the greatest joy, the greatest pleasure. It gives you the greatest fulfillment. And so in countless ways, countless people are giving because they're getting that little joy. I was doing a workshop with third graders of my book, The Royal Falcon. Some of you may have seen it. And there, the child, who's the protagonist, gives his pencil to the person who had stolen it. And I asked the third graders, I said, who do you think was happier? Was it Arjun who gave the pencil, or was it Tyler who received it? And most of the kids said Tyler because he got the gift. But there was one hand that was raised, and that child said it was Arjun. And I said, why? He said, because he was smiling, he was happy when he was giving. And when he didn't give, he was angry. And it's better to be smiling than to be angry. It gives you more happiness when you are smiling. And yes, he also said, I get gifts on my birthdays, and after a few days I forget about them. But then when I give to someone, he says that feeling lasts longer. And I looked at that child, 8 years old, and I thought, amazing insight, amazing realization at such a young age, that giving gives you greater joy, greater feeling of well-being inside that lasts longer. He said that feeling lasts longer when you give someone. So, Asank Sati, Asank Datar, people who have realized that. Asank Sur, Moh Baksar. There are so many brave people, so many people who take the hurt, take the blow in their faces. We have great examples of them. Bhai Deep Singh, whose head, the legend tells us, was almost chopped off. And he made his way to Harmandir Sahib because that was his resolve. People who gave up their lives. There are countless examples of them in Sikhi. There are examples of them in other faiths too. Jesus lived by the truth, was crucified. betrayed by the friend that was closest to him. But he died for humanity, for that which he believed in. There are so many others in other traditions that gave up their lives. We have innumerable examples in Sikhi of brave people, of heroes that fought for the truth, that took the blows in their face. Asang Moon Live Life. This is interesting. There are so many countless people that are staying silent because they think that silence is beautiful. They're experiencing the divinity through remaining silent. Again, this is not our way. Our way is that of sahaj and balance, and not going to extremes to realize divinity. But you know, there is something to be said for maintaining silence. There is something to be said for talking less. Khalil Gibran said that I have learned silence from those that talk too much. You know, they have taught me silence. I was talking to someone who talked so much that it gave me a headache. And this person, after talking non-stop for an hour that I spent with them driving, said, "Oh my God, I have a headache." And I'm thinking in my mind, I have a headache just listening to you. You know, talking makes you lose your energy more than anything else. Even after a 1 hour of sharing, if you're talking a lot, then you're exhausted. You know, people who give talks afterwards, they just don't want to feel too many questions. They just want to get away from it and go back and conserve their own energy. So I say that energy is most depleted when you talk incessantly. When you see beautiful things, your eyes don't get as tired. When you smell beautiful fragrances, your nose doesn't get tired. When you're hearing beautiful stuff, your ears don't get tired. But if you're hearing harsh things, you want to get away when the music is too loud. But when you hear something that is annoying, that is too loud, and you just like at that time you want to maintain distance. You want to maintain distance from your own speech. There's a saying in English, empty vessels make most noise. You know, all these are clues, there are pointers to trying to find that silence, at least for some time during the day. And that's where you know, going to Babaji's room and doing your part either silently or closing your eyes and sitting in remembrance, or chanting a mantra. What is a mantra? That takes you inwards. All these are forms of talking less. There are retreats when they ask you not to talk for 21 days or 15 days. You don't have to do that. But people come out of that feeling like they have gotten in touch with themselves. Because with all the chatter and the noise that we create and that surrounds us, we're not able to get in touch with ourselves. So Babaji is saying over here, Asank Mon, live like that. But in that silence, what is the purpose of all this? The purpose is that my thoughts and my live and my consciousness becomes aligned with you, with that energy, with that force that is peaceful, that is in harmony. We're all seeking harmony in one way or another. We are all seeking harmony. We are all seeking that place of quiet within us where there isn't that tumult, there isn't that halchal, there isn't those highs and lows that disturb us, that we experience when we are detached, when we are in sahaj. And so Guruji is saying, Asank Mon live laitar, keeping their consciousness in tune. Countless ones are observing the silence. Yeah. Kudrat Asank Mon live laitar, Kudrat kavan kaha vichar. We come back to that line. Kudrat kavan kaha vichar. How can I even describe it? How can I even talk about those that are giving, those that are silent, those that are that are in tune? How can I talk about people that are engaged in tap and jap and chanting? All this is part of your play. All this is part of your creation. All this is part of your wonder. Kudrat kavan kahan vichar. How can I reflect on it? I can try. And that's what we're trying to do here. We are reflecting upon it. We're going deep inside. We're talking about it. We're listening to each other. Vichaar, that word, right? This is Gurmat Vichaar. So here we are doing this Vichaar. And yet, we cannot even touch the tip of what exists. It's beyond us. It's fathomless. That's why it's fathomless. Varya na java ek var. I cannot even surrender myself enough to understand this. Jo tud pave sai palika. In the end, I say, whatever you are doing, however people are seeking you, whatever you have created, because everything is in your hukam, everything is within your command. Jo tud pave sai palikar. That is good. It's all good. Don't get too agitated. Don't get too ruffled. And when you say that you are living in the hukam, what is the sign of that? How is living in hukam manifested? It is manifested through living in gratitude, one of the ways. One of the very significant ways is when you are living in shukrana, and you're not complaining, and you're not fretting and fuming and agitated and wanting more, or wanting something different, or wanting to change everything that you have. That restlessness, that constant struggle, that's not gratitude. When people say, oh, I live in shukr and shukrana, and then the next thing you do is, oh my God, I'm late, and we're stressed, run. That sahaj is not there. And then living in sahaj, living in shukrana, living in acceptance is all part of expressing jo tud pave sai palikar. Whatever you're doing is fine by me. Our greatest examples are from our own history. Guru Arjan Dev Ji, Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji, jo tud pave sai palikar. The greatest danis, that gave their lives, that gave their Sarbans Dani, right? Guru Gobind Singh is called Sarbans Dani because he didn't give just his own life. He gave his family, his children, his father, his mother. He came here with a purpose, saying to Akal Purakh, I don't want to go, I'm done. I'm one with you. But he came to give. So all these various ways that our gurus, our heroes have given, and lived in gratitude without complaining, singing the joys of the Guru and sitting on Tati Tavis, right? Maintaining Chardi Kalaa, that is the next topic. Living in high spirits is living in Jatut Pave Sai Palikar. Living in gratitude is Jatut Pave Sai Palikar. Why? Because Tu Sada Salamat Nirankar. Because you are my shield. You are about me. You are my caregiver. And you are there forever. You are Sada Salamat. You are always there. You formless energy. I cannot contain you in a picture. I cannot contain you in a scripture. I cannot contain you in a sculptor. I cannot contain you in a temple. You are Nirakar. You are vast. You have no form, no face, no shape. And you are forever there. And if I know that, and I know that you're forever looking after me, and all that you're doing is good, Chinta taki kijiye jo anhoni hoye, everything is in your hukam, then I live in gratitude. Then I live in Chardi Kalaa. Then I live in Sahaj. And I live in Shukrana. And then truly I understand that it is all your play. It is all there. And yes, I have to choose, because that is what I'm here to do, and discriminate and be careful about this path that I'm following. The beauty of this is that Guruji is praising all this, and yet he has given us a path which has been called the Gadi Rah, right? The Rah of Gurmat, the Pagdandi, the little path carved out in the jungle of this world that we have to walk. He has given us this path. Then he's saying there are these other paths. And they're all there, they're all doing their own thing. And that's what I love about Sikhi. You know, this acceptance at a deep level and non-judgmentalness. And let it be all about what you are doing rather than what others are doing. Know it, praise it, look at the wonder of it, accept it, extol it, respect it. Follow your own path.
What does Gadi mean?
Gadira is that which has been caved out, like, you know, Pagdandi, right? Right, Vichi? That little path that has been created. You know, when we go on a trek, it always says, follow the trail, right? That has been carved out. Because if you go off it, you're going to be lost in the wilderness. So that's the trail. That's the
path that's been shown to us.
The path that has been carved out for us to walk, and be careful. And at another place, Guruji says that this path, yes, you have to stay on it, but you know it has its own challenges, and you have to be very careful. It's, you know, khandyo tikki, it's a razor's edge. It's finer than a hair. But yet, when you follow it, it's so easy because it'll take you there. It's so simple. It's not complicated. It doesn't have to involve all these penances and tap and torturing yourself and doing elaborate pujas and all of that. It's simple, it's sweet, it's wondrous. Jatu the Pave Saipur, but the others are doing it in the Hukam too. Tu Sada Salamat Nirankar, you are there above me, and I'm so grateful for that protection. And Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Okay, we have a few minutes, right? If somebody has to say something, we have to discuss it. Vichi, you always have some very insightful things.
Well, I think this is in fact laying the groundwork for the next one, because this is all about Chardi Kalaa.
Yes.
Seeing God's greatness and
Yes.
appreciating it and recognizing that there's so much goodness and so many people doing so many good things.
Yeah.
So many ways to get to God, but Varana Java Ekwar Japji Sahib.
And then next part he'll talk about those who are not. And yet he ends it the same way. Vajana Java Ekvar.
Still doesn't let it get him down.
Doesn't let him get it down. And you know, if we look at ourselves, how easily we allow ourselves to get down. You know? So this path of udasi, of detachment, you know, when somebody condemns you, there's a line in Gubani that says that Ninda kamre kapde dhoge, right? You don't understand it unless somebody really condemns you. And what that does is, when you stop letting it affect you and you really understand, na nindyana usta chake, you know, it doesn't matter. Beyond a certain country, you know, after you had all these people condemn you and betray you, you feel it hasn't taken away much from you because your core is intact. Because you believe in the one that knows you. You end up saying, I don't care what you're saying, God knows. You know, Babaji knows in the end. Babaji is the one that's going to bring justice. And I'm not going to waste my energy fighting this condemnation. I'm just going to let you do your thing, and I'm going to do mine. And you know, this life, this journey teaches us this. We do encounter it. All of us do, sooner or later. When we are young, we are so vulnerable, and we feel that, invulnerable, I mean, and we feel that, oh wow, but no, life brings us these people to teach us, to chisel us, to make our faith stronger, to make us realize that, you know, we have to turn to Guruji more, Dukhdaru, Sukhropya, that's how it becomes that. Vijay, you want to add something? He's an observer. Yes.
If you are standing on a side street and cars are walking, cars are passing by, and you will be able to notice this is the BMW, this is the Mercedes, this is the Toyota. You can see all the cars. But if you sit in the car, you will not be able to. So Guru Sahib, in this body, he's not giving, in the end he's saying what his path is. But जिस तरह देखें मैं Guru Sahib ने किया है, चुप ना हो में, ये लाए धाम तो उठे किया है क्यों सचियारा हो ये कि पूरे टूटे पाँव उठे Guru गुरु साहब कह रहे हैं ऐसे यहाँ पालना कोई तक करने चले ना उसी चीज किया गया कि जो गुरु साहब कह रहे हैं कि असली मतलब चुप रहना या नहीं बोलना तो गुरु साहब ने गुरु ग्रंथ साहब ने बड़ी जगह दसिया है बारे जब लग रही है दुनिया नानक
किच कहिए
किच सुनिए किच कहिए नहीं करने
किच सुनिए पहला सुनो
किच सुनिए किच कहिए बाबा कबीर दास जी कहते हैं बाबा बोलना क्या कहिए व्हाट शुड आई से ਅਸੀਂ अपनी मत लगाने से पहले गुरु साहब ਦੇ ਮਤ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਬਾਬਾ ਬੋਲਣਾ क्या ਕਰੀਏ ਇਹ ਕੀ ਕਹੀਏ व्हाट शुड आई से ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ जैसे राम नाम रब रही है वो चीज बोलियो जिदे नाल तुहाडा राम दे वाहिगुरू नाल प्यार पैंदा है those are the only thing you are supposed to say everything else is कूड़ और कूड़ जितना होएगा वो अंदर तुहाडे अंदर ਇਹਦੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ मैं पीस एंड ओडी एज ऑब्जर्वर बड़ा कमाल का शब्द है गुरु नानक देव जी ने दसिया है देवतियां दर्शन के ताई दू भूख तीरथ की है जोगी जति जुगत में रहते करते कर भगवे पेश में तो कारण साहिबा कहते साहिबा रंग रहते तेरे प्यार दे कितने रंग रहते हुए तेरे नाम अनेका रूप असंख्या कहना जाए तेरे कहते गुण कहते तेरे गुण कहते देखो क्या कमाल की गल कर रहे हैं गुरु साहब he is not condemning any of those
Guruji, when he's an observer, when Guruji is an observer, he wants us also to become detached observers.
क्योंकि वो observer सानू ये सिखा रहे हैं ना तुम्हें पढ़ के मेरे दसने पहने they want you become observer don't sit in the car
and don't become judgmental
and when you sit in the car you cannot observe it it's a wonderful thing sit on the side read and
look at the wonder of it all.
You go up the here कमाल है भाई कितने कमाल मैंने टाइम बख्शिया कि मैंने आई कैन रियली ऑब्जर्व ऑल पर हारी कुदरत बसिया तेरा अंत नहीं लग गया ये सारे शब्द ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਕੋਈ ਦੇਵਤੇ ਕੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਪਏ ਨੇ ਕੀ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਪਰ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਕੰਡੈਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ
ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ
ਕਮਾਲ ਹੈ ਸਭ
ਕਮਾਲ ਇਟਸ ਆਲ ਵੰਡਰਸ
ਇਹ ਦੇਖੋ ਇਹ ਸਿਰਫ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇ ਹਿੱਸੇ ਆਈ ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਹੁਣ ਦੂਜੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਇਫ ਯੂ ਡੋਨਟ ਫਾਲੋ ਮਾਈ ਪੈਥ
Yes.
To cover it. Yeah. You have no right to really live. Guru Nanak ji कहते नहीं ये सारी तीनों पौड़ियां जड़ियां ने ये observer इधर सारे में जगह केड़े देखने चंगे काम कर रहे हैं फिर संग मूर्ख देखना भी चाहिए ते गुरु साहब दसना चाहते ने इस like a bouquet of flower you have to really see the world is like a bouquet of flower जिदे च देखना bouquet of flower दे विच if you put all the roses it doesn't look that good पर roses दे नाल देखना petals भी होण दे देखना में स्टेम्स भी होते लेकिन में कोई रोज लेकिन रेड है कोई वाइट है कोई पिंक है तो वो बड़ा सोना लगता है करने भी है ते ओ this is what really teaches us कि ਅਸੀਂ instead of saying condemning the world उधर प्यार you have to accept as is instead of saying you got तुम गुरु नानक देव जी ना मर्दाना जी 50 साल रह रहे उन्होंने नहीं किया कि तुम भई ये देखना मैं तू और मुसलमान तन छाड़ दे अखीरले टाइम कहते तेरे हुन अंतला समय आ गया तू कब्र च पाइए कि तेरा हुन दे क्रिमेशन करिए मतलब he is not changing any of this thing he is accepting him on what he say क्योंकि वो वाहिगुरू दी पुस्तक कर रहे हैं गुरु अर्जन देव जी जो हरमंदर साहब जी नींव रखा रहे हैं ते साईं मियां मीर नु बुला रहे उन्होंने नहीं किया साईं मियां मीर तुसी सिख बन जाओ
But this is Sikhi is the only faith that doesn't proselytize or try to convert.
वो सामने ऐसे सिखाते पए हैं कि अपने पियो दी राज के प्रेस करिए और मेक श्योर दूसरे दे पियो दी देखने में बेस
बिल्कुल very good thank you Vijay thank you